Namaskar, my dear friends. Welcome to the lecture series of machine design. In our previous videos, you will learn about the design of spur gear, and also we will solve some examples of this spur gear. Now, today in this lecture, you are going to learn about the design procedure of helical gear. So, the content of today's lectures are introduction, terms used in the helical gear, equivalent or the formative number of teeth, strength of gear teeth, dynamic tooth load, static tooth load, and wear tooth load. Now, introduction of helical gear. As we discussed earlier in our lectures, the helical gear has teeth in form of helix around the gears. So, two such gears may be used to connect the two parallel shafts in place of spur gears. This axis may be right-handed on one gear and left-handed on the other. The pitch surfaces are cylindrical as in spur gear, but the teeth, instead of being parallel to the axis, it wind around the cylindrical helically like a screw thread. So the teeth of the helical gears with parallel axis have line contact as in case of the spur gearing. So this provides the gradual engagement and continuous contact of the engaging teeth. So this helical gears, it gives the smooth drive with a high efficiency of transmission. Okay, and this gradual engagement, it makes this gear operate much more smoothly and quietly than the spur gear. And also one interesting thing about this helical gear is that if the angle of the gear teeth are correct, and they can be mounted on perpendicular shaft also, adjusting the rotation angle by 90 degree. Here you can see the two parallel axis gears are there, okay, and the helix are opposite. On one gear it is on left-handed helix, and on the other gears it is a right-handed helix. Now here you can see this axis of the two gears are perpendicular to each other, having the helical gear, helical teeth. Okay, and the helical gear, it may be of single helical type or the double helical type. Okay, in case of the single helical gear, there is some axial thrust between the teeth, which is the disadvantages of this helical gear. So how to minimize this disadvantage? So in order to eliminate this axial thrust, the double helical gears, or it is known as the herringbone gears, are used. So it is equivalent to two single helical gear in which the equal and opposite thrust are provided on each gear, and the resulting axial thrust is 0. Okay. So these herringbone gears are mostly used in the heavy machinery. Now, different terms used in the helical gears. First is the helix angle. So it is a constant angle made by the helix with the axis of rotation. Now you can see here, this is the axis of rotation, and here you can see these teeth are inclined at an angle alpha. Okay. So this angle alpha is known as the helix angle, or we can say the angle of the teeth with the axis of rotation is called the helix angle. Then next is the axial pitch. It is the distance parallel to the axis between similar faces of adjacent teeth, and it is the same as circular pitch and is therefore denoted by PC. Here you can see the axial distance, okay, parallel to the axis between this teeth and the axis. So it is known as a circular pitch. So that's why it is denoted by PC. And this axial pitch may also be defined as the circular pitch in the plane of rotation or the diametral plane. Another terminology is a normal pitch. So you can see here, this is the normal pitch. Now this normal pitch, it is the distance between the similar faces of adjacent teeth, or you can say the distance between the two adjacent teeth. Okay, measure normal or measure the perpendicular. So it is denoted by Pn, and the normal pitch, it may also be defined as the circular pitch in the normal plane, which is a plane perpendicular to the teeth. So here this normal pitch Pn is given by one equation. Pn is equal to Pc cos alpha, where alpha is a helix angle. So these are the three important terms in case of the helical gear: helix angle, axial pitch, and normal pitch. Okay, and the relation between this normal pitch and axial pitch is equal to Pn is equal to Pc cos alpha. Now face width of the helical gear. So in order to have the more than one pair of teeth in contact, the tooth displacement or the overlap, it should be at least equal to the axial pitch. Okay, so this is known as the overlap or the tooth displacement. So it is given by overlap, which is equal to the PC or the circular pitch. And here, if this B is the face width of the gear, then we can say overlap is equal to PC is equal to B tan alpha. The normal tooth load Wn, here you can see, this is the normal tooth load Wn. Okay, normal tooth load W, a load acting normal to the teeth, has two components. One is vertical and another is the horizontal component. So this component is known as the WT. It is known as the tangential component, and this is the axial component, and it is denoted by WA. So therefore, from this triangle, we can say WA is equal to Wn sin alpha is equal to Wt tan alpha. Okay, so relation between axial component and this normal and tangential component is given with this equation. So from this equation, we see that as the helix angle increase, okay, then the tooth overlap increase. Okay, if the value of alpha is increased, then value of tan alpha will be increased. So therefore, we can see the overlap, it will be increased. But at the same time, the end thrust, or we can say the axial force, as given by equation 2, WA is also increases, which is undesirable. The increase of axial load is undesirable. Okay, so it is usually recommended that this overlap, it should be 15% of the circular pitch. Okay, so maximum value of this overlap, it should be a 15% of this circular pitch. So the value of overlap is equal to B tan alpha and 15%. So therefore it is 1.15 PC. PC is the circular pitch. And so from that, we can say the face width B is equal to 1.15 PC upon tan alpha, and PC is equal to pi into M. Okay, where M is the module. So face width is given by 1.15 pi M by tan alpha, where B is the minimum face width and M is a module. Now next, formative or the equivalent number of teeth for the helical gear. So what does it mean? So the formative or the equivalent number of teeth for a helical gear, it may be defined as the number of teeth that can be generated on the surface of cylinder having a radius equal to the radius of curvature at a point at the tip of the minor axis of an ellipse, obtained by taking a section of the gear in the normal plane. Or Here in this case, we can say this formative number of or the equivalent number of teeth. It means the number of teeth equivalent to spur gear. Okay, the number of teeth equivalent to spur gear, and it is given by the equation TE is equal to T upon cos cube alpha, where T is the actual number of teeth on helical gear and alpha is the helix angle. So the equivalent number of teeth TE is given by this equation. Now different proportions for the helical gears. Standard values we have to taken during the design of this helical gear. Pressure angle in the plane of rotation phi is generally taken as 15 degree to 25 degree. Helix angle alpha is taken as 20 degree to 45 degree. Addendum is equal to 0.8 m. Maximum value of the addendum is taken as 0.8 into module. Dedendum is taken as 1 module, minimum value. Okay, addendum 0.8 m is the maximum value and dedendum 1 m is the minimum value. Minimum tooth total depth is equal to 1.8 module and minimum clearance is equal to 0.2 module. Thickness of the tooth is taken as 1.5708 module. So these are the standards values, okay, we have to consider for the design of the helical gear. Now strength of helical gear. So in helical gear, the contact between the matting teeth is gradual and starting at one end and moving along the teeth, so that at any instant the line of contact runs diagonally across the teeth. So therefore, in order to find the strength of the helical gear, the modified Lewis equation is used, and that modified Lewis equation is here WT, that is the tangential load, is equal to sigma O into CV into B into pi into M into Y dash. Okay. In case of the spur gear, you know that the same equation was used. Instead of Y dash, we were using the Y. Okay. So this is the modified Lewis equation. Now in which WT is the tangential tooth load, sigma O is the allowable static stress, CV is the velocity factor, B is the face width, M is module, and Y dash. Here the change is Y dash. So Y dash is the tooth form factor, or we can say Lewis factor, corresponding to the formative or the virtual or the equivalent number of teeth. Okay. So this factor Y dash is depends upon the TE instead of T. Okay. So it depends upon the formative or the equivalent number of teeth. Now, different value of velocity factor CV, it may be taken as CV is equal to 6 upon 6 plus V, where V is the pitch line velocity, and the value of CV, it depends upon the pitch line velocity. So for the peripheral velocity from 5 meter per second to 10 meter per second, we are using CV is equal to 6 upon 6 plus V. And for the peripheral velocity from 10 meter per second to 20 meter per second, the value of CV is given by 15 upon 15 plus V. And for the peripheral velocities greater than 20 meter per second, the value of velocity factor CV is given by 0.75 upon 0.75 plus root V. And for the non-metallic gears, the value of velocity factor is given by 0.75 upon 1 plus V. Now, let us consider the dynamic tooth load. So the velocity factor was used to make the approximate allowances for the effect of dynamic loading. And these dynamic loads are due to the some regions. And what are the regions for inducing of the dynamic load? And that regions are inaccuracies of tooth spacing, irregularities in tooth profiles, deflections of teeth under load. So these are the three regions. For these regions, the dynamic tooth load may be induced in the gear teeth. Now, as you know that the dynamic tooth load is given by the equation Wt is equal to tangential load plus the increment load. And the value of increment load, as you know that here, the value of increment load is given by this equation. So it is 21V into BC cos square alpha plus Wt cos alpha upon 21V plus root BC cos square alpha plus Wt. Okay. So here Wt is the tangential load and it is Wi and it is known as the incremental load. Here this B is the face width in millimeter, V is the pitch line velocity in meter per second. You have to remember that always the value of V is taken in meter per second. C is the deformation or the dynamic factor in Newton per millimeter as discussed in the design of this spur gear. Okay. So you have to find the value of C from the design data book, right? Now let us see static tooth load. So the static tooth load, it is also called the beam strength or the endurance strength of the tooth, is obtained by the Lewis formula by substituting the flexural endurance limit or the elastic limit stress sigma E in place of the permissible working stress. So the static tooth load or the beam strength of the tooth is given by the equation Ws is equal to sigma E into B into PC into Y dash. Okay. So is equal to sigma E into B into pi into M into Y dash. Now wear tooth load. So the maximum load that the gear teeth can carry without premature wear, it depends upon the radius of curvature of the tooth profiles and on the elasticity and the surface fatigue limits of the material. So the maximum or the limiting load for the satisfactory wear of gear teeth is obtained by using the Buckingham equation, and that Buckingham equation is WW is equal to dP into B into Q into K upon cos square alpha. Earlier in case of the spur gear, we were using this equation only dP into B into Q into K. But here one term, this helix angle is introduced. So equation becomes WW is equal to dP into B into Q into K upon cos square alpha. Okay. Now the value of this Q is known as the ratio factor. Okay, and the value of Q is depends upon the velocity ratio, and the value of Q is taken as the equation as discussed in the design of this spur gear. Okay, now this K is a constant. So the value of this K is given by the equation sigma ES square sin phi n, where phi is the normal pressure angle by 1.4 upon into 1 upon EP plus 1 upon EG. Okay, where this phi n is the normal pressure angle, sigma ES is the flexural endurance strength, EP is a Young modulus for the material of pinion, and EG is the Young modulus or the modulus of elasticity for the material of gear. Okay, so Here we have find the three loads: dynamic load, static load, and wear tooth load. So for the safety of the gears, always the static load, it should be greater than dynamic load, and this wear tooth load is also should be greater than the dynamic tooth load. So let me stop here, and thank you very much, friends. In our next lecture, we will solve the different examples of the helical gear. Thank you.